morning and welcome to another morning with 30 minutes with Jan. As you can see, I'm all alone here today, but I am joined by, good morning, Vanita. How are
Good
you?
morning. Good morning, Jan. Good morning, everybody. No, I'm good. I'm good. I think this is my last one for 2022. So, yeah, thank you for
Oh,
having
yeah.
me, Jan.
I think probably have another one for 2022, but we're very nearing the end of 2022, and I think it's time for a bit of a rest as well.
Oh, absolutely, Jan. It's actually been a crazy week. We've had
Hmm.
6 amendment circulars come out this week, and it's only Thursday morning. So that's how much things are coming through, changing, and so on. Look, some of the announcements have been very good for a lot of people, in certain occupations as well. So that's been a real positive for those people.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Isn't it a bit little, too late?
Yes, because especially for the healthcare workers, I mean, we've been crying out and crying out, and I mean, every other person and the industry's been crying out. And yes, Jan, it is a little too late. We've lost people because those people have already made plans to go elsewhere. Which is really sad for New Zealand, but it is what it is. And if you heard it was Heather Duplessis, Ellen, where she asked a segment about the minister being stupid or slow. So yeah, that was really funny. But definitely. What's interesting is, and it's to be seen, is that Australia have put their New Zealand stream on hold until July 2023. And what they've said is they are
What does that
going
mean?
to.
Sorry, what does that mean?
So just remember, previously, New Zealand citizens could go to Australia and become Australian citizens and get all the benefits of an Australian citizen or permanent resident holder, visa holder.
Yeah.
But they made changes to that, and now what's happened is New Zealand citizens don't have access to everything that Australian citizens get when they enter New Zealand. And so Albanese has actually put the New Zealand stream on hold, saying that he's going to revamp it. And this is going to be very interesting because, look, a few of us are speculating, saying that, look, they're in a huge drive to get skills into the country. And the thing is, though, if people are finding New Zealand as a pathway, but then sort of not being happy and so on, and especially maybe resident visa holders,
Oh, yeah.
it may be a pathway for them to hop across and be able to get Australian permanent residence. Because I'll just say something here. If you remember, the Prime Minister said, "Oh, nurses come in, get residence, and then go to Australia." That's not the case, because when you're a New Zealand resident holder, you still have to get a work visa to go to Australia to work. It's different for citizens, but not for resident visa holders. So
That's
that
right.
was completely wrong. So now with Australia saying that they're going to be doing something, it's going to be very interesting to see, because the skills may just be scooped up, and too bad for New Zealand for actually being asleep.
And this is something with this kind of government currently. They let everything fall to pieces, and then
Yeah,
they want to pick up one or two strings. They can't
exactly.
proactively before the time see we are running into a problem, because we've been running into this problem for a while now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's where they've probably announced like a million changes, well, 6
Mm.
changes this week alone, with occupations and so on, because the industry's been crying out saying we have a shortage of people like motor mechanics,
Yeah.
all those things, right? And the government hasn't been listening. Now they've put in even teachers, because they only put a certain cohort of teachers into the straight to residence pathway, or the residence or the work to residence pathway. But now they've decided, okay, we actually need to put all teachers in that. So primary, secondary, doesn't matter what you're teaching, you are going to get that work to residence. But it is too late, because a lot of people have gone elsewhere with their skills.
Or have decided
Um,
not to come anymore. I mean,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So, look, if you are one of those occupations that are in there and you were considering actually coming through to New Zealand, those pathways are now open for you. So, I think that you should consider it. And especially with our age being 55 and under for residents,
Yeah.
make sure that you can come in. And maybe with Australia and what they are doing, I mean, just remember Australia's cutoff age is 45. Maybe if you're thinking of going over later on, New Zealand is a pathway to come through, but yeah. So
And we want people here long term. We don't want people just popping over for 5 years and leaving us again.
That is true, but the thing is, though, New Zealand has not made it very attractive. I mean, like, look at the healthcare sector, right?
Yeah.
The pay is poor. We don't have enough workers, and Australia have increased all of that. So has every other country. Their salaries and so on. So you kind of wonder, why would somebody spend that time coming into something, and doing the course and so on, and not getting paid or remunerated very well? And those are the things that the industry is saying we need to increase all of this. But again, little too late.
Somewhere along the line, the powers to be is just ignoring all of this.
I don't know. Head in
the
the sand.
And
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. An idealistic world. I don't know what that looks like, to be honest. But yeah, so looking at it, immigration have actually announced that accreditation for employers is now going to be 24 months and not 12 months. And I think it's because immigration themselves are really under the pump. I've seen there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of frustration with employers, with people applying for work visas, just across the board. I mean, so work visas are taking between 30 to 40 working days to be processed now. And a lot of staff are actually being put onto processing the visitor visa categories because, let's face it, it's our tourist, right now it's our summer season, even though it doesn't feel like it. And this is where tourists come in and stimulate the economy. But we haven't processed so many visas.
It takes 4 months for the visitors visa. These are people that's bringing money to New Zealand that we urgently need here to rebuild this economy.
Exactly.
We can't get them in.
Exactly. So like immigration have been under the pump approving visitor visas. They've put everybody onto visitor visas. And I think that's the reason why the work visas have probably taken a back step. And don't ask me what's going on. I mean, look, we have a direct line to immigration, Jan, and we spend in 45 minutes just holding onto that dreadful music, I know people are calling internationally and holding on for 3-4 hours, just to try and get an update. And the updates we're getting are not that great either. They're sort of saying, they're very sketchy about some things, some applications, even residents 2021 applications are stuck in certain stages and they can't tell us why. We don't know, and everything's been escalated. That's just crazy. There's technical issues, documents going missing. I don't know. It's a mess. It really is a mess.
It's a sad mess, and it's not doing us or the country any good.
But, it's been taxpayer money on this new $80 million adept system. And this is our taxpayer money that's paying for, like people are missing flights, all sorts of things,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and then worker visas, the main applicant gets issued, but nobody else.
Yes, and then the partners are sort of waiting. And I believe last night, RealMe, the old system was down. Don't ask me why it was down. So you can't lodge, you can't check, it's just, I don't know. So that's why maybe, if you've got a work visa, I know flights are very expensive right now, but maybe try not to book a flexible flight with, that you have that flexibility. Because if your visas are not approved in time, you need to change those dates for flying out. Yeah. So some massive changes though, but look, it's been good changes. For instance, there's a variation now. Well, it's called a job change, where if you've got an accredited employer work visa, and if you find another offer, you can actually change that job to another employer. It does benefit employers more than the applicants themselves, in the sense that the employers can reuse their job tokens if they need to, but they can, but the applicants will need a new job check. So it's it's like a give and take sort of situation. But what concerns me is that if somebody leaves a job, the employer is going to call immigration within a certain time and say that person's no longer employed with us. And that person may or may not have a job. So that person could be dobbed in. in that
Okay.
sense.
Okay.
So I don't know how that's going to work, and that's going to be very interesting as to how that's going to work.
That's right.
Yeah. I should make a disclaimer that whatever I'm saying, please, sometimes there's a lot of legislation that's come out. So sometimes I may make a mistake on some things. Okay. So I will put that disclaimer in there. All right.
Or it can change tomorrow again.
It can change tomorrow. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, who knows? But you know what? Parliament's closed, Jan. Parliament closed yesterday, right? So I don't think there's going to be any more changes until the new year when they open.
So they went on holiday already and leaving us in the mess.
Yes.
That's
But they
typical
always do
politicians.
that.
That's
They
typical
always do that.
politicians. Yeah.
Yes. Also, as I said, there's a lot of new tier 1, tier 2 green list roles that have been announced. And it benefits a lot of people, especially those people that may have not been seen as a skilled role, like excavators and so on. That's all now a pathway to residence. Even bus and truck drivers, Jan, if you've seen that. So the policy hasn't been released as yet, but we're going to have a pathway. Just remember, before all this was sort of gone, truck drivers and so on had a pathway to residence when employers became accredited, because that truck driver role is seen as an unskilled role. So now at least immigration are saying, okay, we recognize there's a shortage and we need those people in, and we'll give them a pathway to residence. But it's going to be through sector agreements.
They've taken it away, and I want to give it back and look like heroes.
Yes, but they're not. They're not heroes. So these are sector agreements, and I think next year, when certain things change and when this new 6-point residence category comes in, I think there'll be more sector agreements coming in where there'll be certain pathways for certain people to get residence, maybe after 2 years and so on. So that the truck drivers and the bus drivers are sector agreements pathway to residence.
Is there still, do you still get negative points for going to Auckland with the expression of interest?
Yes, well, not negative, but you don't give a 30 points, and that will stay. That will stay there until the new 6-point skilled migrant category residence comes in, and then obviously that all falls away. June or July next year is what the indication is.
Okay.
Yeah. There's been some relief on the partners, where there's been like a lot of talk about partners not getting open work rights and so on. So immigration have deferred that to 2023, where they've said they'll defer the partners not getting open work rights, which is a good thing, because now partners can still get open work rights and take on roles.
That was another stupid move.
I don't know, Jan. We don't know. We don't know what goes on. Seriously, we all just roll our eyes.
I don't think a lot goes on there, by the way.
No. I mean, we've got a massive Facebook group for our advisor community, and thankfully the public doesn't see that, because we have very, very open communicate or chats around the craziness and the madness of policies and so on. And also, there was talk about all employers having to get accreditation, no matter if they hired like a working holiday visa holder, a partner on an open work visa. They were all needing to require accreditation, but that's now deferred to 2024. And I suppose that's probably for the new government to come in and deal with. So because this government's definitely going. That's my opinion. Okay, so
let's hope for that. Let's hope for the best there. So
I hope people have woken up, So yeah, I hope they have. Yeah. Are there any questions, Jan?
There's questions. I wanted to know. Can we drop one or two? This one coming in saying, "Morning. What is the NZ plans with 2021 resident visas waiting since March?"
Yes. Look, a lot of advisors are escalating. We're trying to move them through different stages. When they're under assessment, that means somebody's actually starting to look at the application. But those applications under assessment some of them are actually stuck for longer than 6 to 8 weeks. And that's kind of the time frame that we've been given. It's not cast in stone. And it's because there's been issues around the system itself, and immigration have called it technical issues. So there's a technical team fixing up a whole lot of issues. So we're trying to push, a lot of us are trying to sort of get these applications pushed along so they move through the phases. but some are just being stuck in the system, and we don't know why.
Another question showing is safety officer on the green list. I don't know what a safety
Um,
officer is.
I haven't looked at all the occupations, so you kind of need to look at all the occupations that have now been listed under the green list or the tier 2 of the green list to see if that is the case. But look, the thing is, with those roles, even if you're not on the green list and if you get a job offer meeting all the criteria, your pathway to residence is the skilled migrant category, which is 180 points now. The next draw is on the 18th of January and thereon from there. Just to talk about the skilled migrant category that opened, we don't know what the processing times are going to be like. Right now, we know priority is the 2021, which is supposed to finish by June next year. For the skilled migrant category, there's been no timeframes at all. So look, you could be sitting in that queue for 2 years. We don't know. So we honestly do not know. So
it's not good news for anyone.
So you could put an expression of interest in. You could get drawn. You have 4 months to put your when you get your invitation to apply. You've got 4 months to supply documents. But from there, we don't know what the processing times are going to be like. It's a bit of it's in shambles right now. Immigration's in shambles. Yeah.
What if somebody that's aged 54, and I'm just throwing figures out there now, that's age 54 now applies, but it takes 2 years. That'll mean he's age 56.
Yes. So we've got something that says at the time of lodgement, where you've got to meet the criteria, which would be 55 and under. And then we've got something that says at the time of assessment as well. Now, with the green list occupations or the tier 1, tier 2, you have to be 55 and under at the time of assessment as well. So that means you've got to plan very carefully to say, if I'm on tier 2 and it's going to take me 2 years, say for instance, I'm a bus driver, right? And it's like going to take me 2 years to get onto the pathway. You've got to time that very carefully and sort of apply for everything by 50, probably 52 at the latest. Because if you're looking at 2 years and if there's delays, you really don't want to cut it too close on that. So it's very important to plan things.
Okay. Interesting question. I'll just read the one just quickly for Bronwyn Heath saying, thank you both for keeping us up to date with changes. All the best for Christmas and the New Year. Thanks, Bronwyn. And then the question here is the accountant under the old regional shortage list the same as registered auditors green list tier 1 from March 2023?
So just remember that a lot of the essential skills and demand lists have fallen away, and it's all accredited employers and so on, and the green list. So if the accountant was on the short list there, it's no longer valid. If new people are coming in, they've got to meet the new criteria. So with the registered auditors, there's specific criteria or requirements. I think it's in column 3 of all these occupations that need to be met. Like, for instance, they need to be NZ registered. They need to have a degree. There's various items. You need to be very careful on how you plan those and what ANSCOs you use to apply for those.
All right. There's somebody asking, can you assist if logistics/courier be part of a skilled application?
So I'm not too sure exactly, because you've got to look at the occupation and if it's on an ANSCO level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is unskilled. So the thing is, there's certain criteria that you need to meet. Like if you come under skilled migrant category right now, for the unskilled level 4s and 5 on ANSCO, you need to be earning 1.5 of median wage to be eligible to apply for the skilled migrant category, like putting an expression of interest and so on. You can't just be earning median wage. So there's a lot of things that an advisor would work with you individually on your application and your plan to residence. So it's not a one size fits all in these aspects. Yeah.
Just my thoughts would be, if in the past you could not come due to whatever, you not being on the green list, it's probably now a good time to go and revisit that green list and see if you can come.
So just remember, the green list is one part of it. So you've got tier 1 straight to residence, you've got tier 2, which is the work to residence, the 2-year pathway. Then you've got skilled migrant category. So there's 3 different pathways that have opened for residence. So you need to see where you fall under and
That's
what
right.
your pathways are for that. Also, with the sector agreements for the truck and the bus drivers, we don't know where they will fall under until that information in the policy is released on that.
Okay.
So that may be a different pathway altogether. We don't know. So that will be interesting to see.
As somebody saying, Caroline saying, we lodged an expression of interest in before the 9th of November 2002, so we got a bit of a wait ahead of us.
I don't know. Did you get if you should check if you've got your invitation to apply, because those, I think some have got them, some don't have them. So you probably need to follow up with immigration on that. Once you get your invitation to apply for residence, you've got 4 months from that letter date to submit all your documents. But again, then from that date is when processing happens. We
Okay.
don't know how long that's going to
That
take.
could be fast, or it could be, as
We
we know,
don't know.
slow.
Look, previously, when we had residents from work and we had the skilled migrant category, and if somebody was eligible for both, we always went skilled migrant category because that was a priority and it was processed a lot faster than the residents from work, which meant they waited 2 years, before they could apply and so on. But now we don't know what that is and what that looks like.
Right. Another one saying, a 2021 resident status changed to under assessment a week ago. Let's hope it doesn't take forever now to be approved. That's Selena Horn.
Yeah. Yes. Look, the
Looking for the
indication
best.
is, yeah, the indication is 6 to 8 weeks is what you should be looking at. And then after 8 weeks, if nothing's happening, then you probably need to find out what's going on with the application and so on. One thing I was going to say, and I can't remember, I know that national security checks are taking really long, and that's out of the control of immigration and so on, because there's, like, if you come from certain countries, there's a higher risk and where they've got to do many more checks. And also, I know that NZ police certificates have been a bit of a stumbling block as well for these residence applications.
Okay.
Oh, yes, this is what I wanted to say. Immigration will have a shutdown period. They haven't really announced it. So I think visitor visas will be processed with skeleton staff in the background, and they always usually do this. It's just like every other category, like the residents and so on, will take about a 2-week break. I think they finish on the 24th and come back on the 4th of January. But don't quote me on those dates. So nothing's going to happen during that time.
Yeah, yes, a difficult one. I don't know if you will have the answer. My sister's in pharmaceutical imports, exports. Do you think she would have a pathway to residence if she secures a job?
It's very difficult to say because we look at a number of things. We look at the job. We look at the work experience that they're bringing into that role. We look at where they're settling. We look at the ENSCO. There's a lot of things that you look at to work out, are they eligible or not?
So technically, for those type of people, it's probably the best just to engage the help of an immigration advisor such as yourself.
Yeah, I would say
it's a difficult road. I've been looking at a few of these things, and I mean, I didn't try my own, and I won't try my own. I'm being quite frank on that. I know people don't have the money for immigration advisors. That was the best money ever spent for me, to be quite frank.
Yeah. Look, when we came through, it was a different point system. That was back in 2000. No, actually in 99, towards the end of 99, and I wouldn't have attempted it on my own. But mind you, the internet wasn't that freely available. There wasn't, all these social media groups and so on, that was able to support you and so on. But I wouldn't have had any clue. And I think it was too time consuming. It depends, on the person and if you've got the time and so on.
The Facebook groups, you should watch out. There's a lot of rubbish being posted on those groups.
Look, it's a good and a bad thing, because sometimes it can be very dangerous, because if you're not in a good space mentally, you just add more stress to yourself and so on. And I know people read those. I know they read things and they go, that happened to my friend. Why is it not happening to me?
Yeah.
But it's not a one size fits all. And you don't know the situation of various things either, but yeah, I wouldn't attempt to do that. And just, Jan, with all the legislative changes that are coming through, like we've had 6 in the last week. Like literally from Monday to Wednesday, we've had 6 changes come through. And these are not in our operations manual. These are amendment circulars that are coming through that you kind of got to go, okay, what's changed? Remember, like even from last year, we've got to remember what's changed for this person that's already onshore, or what they are, what works for them, what doesn't. Like, for instance, critical purpose visitor visa holders that were able to come through on that border exemption, because that finished, I think it was the end of July, that was the last of the critical purpose visitor visas.
Okay.
They were only issued a 1-year visitor visa for the main applicant in the family. But now it's changed where they can actually apply for the remaining maximum 3 years. So they can get 3 years on their critical purpose visitor visa. And that's all changed. But it's not for the partner. It's only for the main applicant. So
I've got a question on that, Vanita. The critical purpose visitor visa. Okay, because it's now 3 years, now they can get medical aid or
yes.
government medical. But the
Yes.
past, like they gave 1-year visas, and these people were stuck. They could not get access to health.
Exactly. And there's still some people that don't realize, actually, I don't even have any public health care, covered. And I know that, like, somebody called me and they said, oh, the wife is really frustrated because she can't work. And I'm like, why? Because of no critical purpose visitor visa. And I'm like, but you can change it to a open partner work visa. Why haven't you done that step? So just remember, those changes are meant for the main applicant, not for the partner. They've also allowed children to now go to schools and do change to a student visa, and even like having those children go to schools, because there was no talk between immigration and the Ministry of Education. So the Ministry of Education was saying, no, we're not going to accept these kids into schools, but immigration have allowed them to come in. There was just big, huge gaps, with
a big confusion regarding all of this. I've got a client now currently in Rotorua, and he's on a critical purpose visitors visa for 1 year.
Yeah.
And the place where he works doesn't want to change anything.
Right.
So he can't get health, he can't get life cover.
Right. Yeah.
That's even worse off.
But now he can apply for a specific purpose work visa, and he can get now the remaining years, which takes him up to 3 years. And so he's able to get all the cover that he needs. And obviously he needs to work out for his children and his wife what works for them. Yeah.
I hope he's listening this morning. Otherwise, I'll send him this video. So
okay. But yeah.
I feel so bad for this guy. Jeez, man.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing, like all these changes have come through, and like there's been massive like amounts of changes in just one announcement, like even for post-study work visa holders, they've allowed like people with graduate diplomas now to be able to go in and work and so on, because they put a complete stop to it. But now they've actually allowed those people to actually go in and work, and things. So I think the government's realized there's a massive shortage of labor. We're not processing work visas fast enough, and people actually don't want to come in anymore because of all the decisions they've made, all the stupid decisions they've made. And I think that's what they're trying to do now, is fix it up. Yeah.
And not doing a very good job of that, by the way.
Yes. Yeah.
Question that I've got for you this morning: are you closing down for this jolly season?
I am. I try to. I obviously manage certain applications to a point where I know I can't do any more. I will probably work right up to Friday next week, even though I'll try not to. So yeah, and I think a lot of us are like that, because we've just been, a lot of applications where would process smoothly through the whole or would flow through the process smoothly are no longer doing that. So it's causing a lot of frustration for all of us. Yeah.
And it is, and people think you're not doing your job because you're not getting them the visas, but it's not in your hands.
And the thing is, I saw somebody comment saying, I'm with an advisor, and they saying we just have to wait. And should I actually take that?
I'm specifically talking about that comments as well.
Are they doing their job? We've paid so much money. You know what? To be honest, we're exhausted from all the stuff that's come through and what we have to do as well. And there's just a lot of little admin things that we have to do that we never had to do previously. And, I'm sorry you are waiting, for your visas and so on. But yeah, it's just been a hard road. Yeah.
And the other joke is, if you said no to a person on Monday, you could probably say yes to them on Wednesday. So
Yeah, exactly.
there's no
Yeah.
consistency. So, all right, Vanita, that's our time has come and gone.
Thank you.
I'm not going to keep you up this morning, but I just want to say goodbye to the people, and then we'll chat again afterwards.
Yes, yes. Everybody have a lovely Christmas and New Year, and wishing you well for 2023.
Thanks, Vanita. Guys, we'll also be closing down from this Friday. I will be the skeleton staff, so if anything goes wrong with you and you need to urgently do a claim or need any help, I will be there for you. So my phone will always be on, except in the middle of the night. But yeah, so enjoy your Christmas. We'll speak next week again. Until then, see you next week, same time, same place.